But look at the size of this thing. Let me back up. It's massive. Hey guys, it's Patriot Gal. I hope you guys are having a great day and you're doing things to forge your freedom. All right, so let me tell you what I'm tackling here today. This garden box has got to be dug out, rebuilt, and moved. And it is just full of weeds and grass and tough to get out stuff. But what I want to show you is right here. If we look down in here, and we pull this back, you can see right here. You guys recognize that? That's an asparagus plant. This one was a volunteer plant. It just had to, right over there, at the end of that row, on the other side of those walls of water, is my asparagus bed. Somehow a seed made it from there all the way over here and planted itself. And so what I'm going to do, I suspect that this is a really big root under here, so I'm doing my best to get it out intact as I can. And when I get it out, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you can divide asparagus plants so that you can have more. This is a nice established plant, so let me get it out. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I finally got that thing out. Yep, that's one giant asparagus root. Actually, there might be more than one. I know there was an extra one in there. There might be possibly another one. Here's this one right here. Unfortunately, I cut the roots off real short. I didn't realize it was hanging out on the edge of this mass, but there still might be enough there for it to take off. I think that it will. You can see right here this blanched asparagus tip that's just starting to emerge out of the ground. So we'll get that planted right away. This is a nice strong one. I don't know. I'll get this washed off and take a look at it. I might divide it. I might just leave it how it is. But look at the size of this thing. Let me back up. It's massive. Look, I'm put a 5-gallon bucket right here so you can see how massive that thing is. It is ginormous. So I'm going to get that all cleaned off, and then we're going to show you how we divide them. All right, this is what I ended up with. Let me just get down here and show you. Let me just tell you that this took about 30 to 45 minutes to untangle this mass. So you're going to pull some roots off. It's going to happen, but you're going to want to try to be as gentle as you can. And not only that, but you're going to have roots from other plants intertwined in there, and you've got to figure out what's what. But for the most part, all the asparagus roots, are this dark amber color, and they're not skinny. So you see any skinny white roots, just want to pull them out because they don't belong probably. But as I was getting this apart, some of the plants just, there were several plants in here, so let's count them. There's 1, 2, 3, that's a nice big one. 4, that's 5, that's a nice big one. 6, that's a healthy one. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Some of them are kind of small, but these big ones we're going to be able to divide. So I'm going to take this one inside the house where I can put the camera on a tripod and show you exactly how we're going to go about doing it. Okay guys, so here's the root that we just harvested from the garden, and I brought it inside the house so that I can show things to you a little bit better. What we're going to do is we're going to try to separate this into 3 different root systems. You're going to notice that there's bumps on the top of here, and those are the little nodules, or they're called corms. Actually, corm with an M as in Mary on the end. And you'll notice that there's 3 different high points on this root, and so we're going to try to divide them that way. And what I'm going to use to do that is a cleaver. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to do here. I'm going to try to separate as many roots away from the place that I'm going to cut through as I can to try to preserve as many of these roots as possible. All right, so I'm going to try to make a cut right between here. And I'm going to get a glove on so that I can put a little more pressure on the cleaver. Okay, I think I'm through. So I'm just going to gently pull the roots apart. Okay, and there's one. It's got a little bit of a corm right there. It's got a good root system, so that should be a good one. Now this one, I'm going to try to take it right through the middle of the corms. You know, they may not all work out, but that's okay. We've got lots of them. So far, every one that I've planted has worked out. So we're going to separate those roots. I'm just going to take that cleaver, put it right there, hold it steady. Here we go. Oh, that was pretty easy. Went through that one pretty darn easy. So let's see here. This one has more roots. We'll take the root over here. All right, so there you go. And I was able to do it with only losing 2 roots. So that's good. So there we go. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to take you out in the garden and show you how we plant these. All right, I have picked out a spot where I'm going to plant this asparagus. It's right underneath this pear tree right back here. And so there's actually some weed block fabric underneath this dirt, so I need to get that peeled back. And then here's our root right here. And so I want to dig a hole that's big enough that I can have these roots, you know, expand around. So the hole's going to be about that big. So let me get that dug and we'll be back. All right, so I've dug this hole about probably 6-8 inches deep, and you can see it's quite large. I dug it out completely, and then I put a couple of shovelfuls of dirt back in, mixed that with some rabbit manure, but I mixed that all together, and now we're going to put the root right on top of that with the crown of the asparagus right on top of the peak of this mound right here. So let me grab that root. And as you know, we cut it in half, and so it's not going to be completely, you know, it's not going to be all the way around. So let's see here. Let's bring it over a little bit so that root has a place to go. There you go. So we'll just put that like that. We'll cover up the roots with the dirt here, but we're going to leave a little part of this crown. You're going to leave a tiny bit of that sticking out, or maybe covered with just a 1/2 inch of dirt until we see the asparagus start to emerge, and then we will maybe cover it up a little bit more. So let's get that done and see you in a minute. That asparagus plant is all tucked in, and you can see that I've got just a little bit of the crown poking out right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, even though this ground is very wet from all the rain we've been getting, I'm going to go ahead and water this in to settle the dirt in and around those roots so it can get a good start. And the reason we put the manure in there is because asparagus is a very, very heavy feeder. It takes a lot of energy to shoot up all those yummy sprouts that we cut every year. So we need to make sure it's got enough nutrient down there to serve us for many years. So we're going to go ahead and water this in so it can settle in. And then what I'm going to do after I get this done is I'm going to take one of my saplings that I've been cutting with the shears, pruning shears, and I'm going to stick it right in here with a piece of red duct tape on it that says asparagus. Step carefully so nobody will cut through this path right here and step on the asparagus. When I say anybody, I mean mostly me, because I'm the one that would probably end up doing it. So I'm just going to go ahead and really fill this hole with water. I can do that because we've got clay soil and it'll hold water like nobody's business. I've had asparagus roots sit in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket of water for 2 weeks, and they didn't drown, and they got planted and were still viable. So that'll go ahead and soak in. And you know, asparagus is a very shallow rooted plant to begin with, so it's not going to interfere with the root system of this tree. Just when you're digging your hole, be careful if you come across a major tree root. You don't want to cut that in half. They'll happily cohabitate with each other, so just dig around that root. Don't cut any major roots from your fruit trees if you're following this method. I'm going to go ahead and mulch this hole with some pine shavings after I put the stake up. And if you guys are wondering if this method works, let me walk you over and show you. These are, you see what I mean about the little flag? These are some asparagus roots I planted the exact same way that I've showed you today, probably about 3 weeks ago. And they've shot up 2 nice spears, which of course I'm not going to cut. I'm just going to go ahead and let those roots strengthen. And here's another one over here that has come up. Yeah, right here. And so everything's working out according to plan.